Hello, beautiful souls of love and light. This is Lady Nenari, Princess of the Sea, coming to you with a new video. So I wish to speak with you this day about suppression and expression. And this is why this video is called From Suppression to Expression. Now, most of us, in some form or another, whether we're divine feminine or divine masculine, have been in some form or fashion experiencing or experienced either in this life or other lives multidimensionally some form of suppression. So suppression or pressing down or attempting to turn off your expression or creativity in life can bring about things like depression. Depression is really just suppressed creativity, suppressed emotions or energy and motions or feelings which are sensing, intuiting, sensing. There is a difference between emotions and which is energy and motion, which are the things that we are emoting or experiencing, such as anger, pain, bliss, stress, anxiety, fear, joy, excitement. Those are emotions, and those are brought about by feelings, which a feeling is a sensation in the body, and a sensation that comes from the soul essence of who we are. We sense that, we feel that, we intuit it, and we can tune into it. Means intuition, tuning in, attuning to that vibrational frequency. So when we attempt to suppress that or press that down, make it as if we are not experiencing that, it can come out in some very harsh ways, or rather destructive ways rather than constructive ways, and some various ways that are free from being a proper channeling of the energy. So what I wanted to discuss in this discourse is about moments when we feel suppression. A lot of times when we feel suppression, whether it's from well-meaning family members or friends who think they know what's best for you, or people who feel that they wish to control a situation or certain people or whatnot, it limits our expression. So to move from that suppression is to come into the balance of it, the wholeness of it, the integration of it, which is to express, and to express it in a proper channel form that is uniquely yours, rather than things like lashing out or turning to addictions, or turning it within and self-loathing or self-hatred, or overeating, or manifesting cancers, or things of that nature. Because usually dis-ease or being ill at ease with the body is because there's an accumulation of toxins in the body. And it is toxins of physical origin of the things that you eat, but it's also physicalness in terms of thought processes and other soul agreements that you've had from other lives bleeding in and things of that nature. So what is often best to do is to be able to express it, bringing that into wholeness, balance, and integration from suppressing it to expressing it. And this can be done in various ways. Now, for some, actually talking about it with our loved ones or friends or work colleagues or relatives or whatnot is sometimes possible, and to come to a resolution, S-O-U-L, resolution, and a solution, S-O-U-L, again, solution, that allows that creativity to be expressed, or those feelings, the sensations and the emotions that are emoting to be able to be expressed. Now, in some cases, we're unable to do this. I know in my life, I had struggled with this all of my life, because I was in a very abusive family when I was being brought up. I had an abusive marriage, and I had many who I hid in the spiritual closet for many years because they were of different religions and different faiths, and they didn't embrace and accept me for who I am, and attempted to seek to do things their way and wanted me to do things in the way they wanted such to be done. And so I was often in fear to be able to express myself properly, and in the way that is loving, but also in a way that was able to share what it was that I was feeling and emoting, and also within shining brightly of my soul's magnificence in my spiritual gifts and soulful gifts. So in those cases, and this is for those of you who are experiencing that, where perhaps you're in a situation where expressing such things to someone or certain people would actually either place your life in danger or be a detriment to your livelihood if it's a working or living situation, or other things that may come up in different relationships and whatnot. So what I wanted to share with you here is different ways that you can express yourself and move from suppression into expression, because it's very important that we actually are able to express the fullness and the magnificence of the soul of who we are, and because this is why we are here on this earth. If we are free from doing that, we will live a shortened lifespan as a result of it. And again, disease will come into play as well. And self-loathing, and all of these things. Part of loving ourselves is being able to have a sense of creative expression. So I'm going to share some things with you that you can utilize to do this. And actually, some of them you may know, and some of them you may not know. But this is just a wee list of things that I came up with, of things that I've done in my own life, as well as who I have mentored others in, helping them to express the fullest version of who they are as a soul. So I just wanted to go through this list with you of some of the things that I have found helpful on my journey and on the journey of mentoring others. So the first one I would say is being connected with Source, remembering and being that connection with Source in each moment. So it's free from being about something that you are to do, in quotes. It's about being. Now, for some people, they may struggle with that, and so there are things that you can do, which I will share in a few moments. However, the first essence is about just simply being that love. If you can envision for a moment just sitting with me and just taking some slow, deep breaths. And this is something that can definitely help with you coming out of suppression and into expression, is this slow Buddha belly breath, as it's called, or diaphragmic breath, as it's called by us as singers, where you're expanding your belly, and it's just like we do when we're children, when we sleep, or if you watch a child sleep. They expand their belly, and they're very relaxed and calm and centered. And if you can do at least 4 of those, and place your hand on your heart, right hand on your heart if you're divine feminine, left hand if you're divine masculine, and then just put your other hand on top and feel this white light, envisioning, pouring into your heart center, and then also cascading down from your Ati chakra, which is about 12 inches or so above your crown chakra, all the way down and through your body, and then from your feet all the way up, this white light, and meeting in your heart center. And as you do that, and you can practice this breathing, it brings you into a sense of being really connected with Source, whatever you call Source, God, Spirit, the divine, the creator, the master artist, the Tao, whatever you choose to call this source energy. And this right there is one of the greatest ways to move from suppression into expression, because then you start shining the soul light of who you are. And then from that beingness, the actual doingness of these things in physical form then comes forth in a right action, because you're in your what's known as your right mind, which is the universal mind or the universal source energy, and you can move in that place of being. Then the next thing I would say would be music. Now this can be in the form of singing, this can be in the form of toning, this can be sound therapy with crystal bowls. I prefer crystal bowls to the Tibetan bowls because Tibetan bowls are metal and they tend to be a lower vibrational frequency in sound, whereas for me, I resonate more with the crystal bowls, and to be able to come into those higher forms of frequency and then also go lower in my brainwave patterns to activate a deeper sense of healing and wholeness and wellness. And it also is good for soul retrieval and soul integration work as well in the shamanic tradition. So any type of sound therapy, whether it is playing an instrument, whether it is singing, whether it is toning, whether it is chanting, whether it is listening to specific music, that helps you. 444 hertz frequency, 528 hertz frequency, 432 hertz frequency. These are all sound frequencies and beyond the realm of human ears and whatnot that I work with personally, that have helped me on the path, both playing these frequencies, singing these frequencies, and also playing instruments as well. Has helped me tremendously in my own personal healing, but also to provide healing for all on the earth and in the cosmos as well. And it's a perfect form of expression because you can express things in music, whether you're actually writing a song or composing a song or just playing. You can say things in sound healing and in music through the vibrational frequencies that sometimes words from human language are hard to convey. So the other form would be painting. There's different types of paintings that you can do and different modalities that you can work with. For the Divine Feminine Goddess, in my new course, I'm going to be talking about what's known as yoni painting, but there is actually a more proper term for that, and this is something that I'm going to be discoursing about in the Divine Feminine Goddess course that is available. So if you are interested in that, any of you Divine Feminine Goddesses, please get in touch with me. And so yoni painting, or as its more proper name, is having to do with the vagina, because it comes out of your kalieha, or your womb, or your chalice, through your vagina, which there is a specific term, an ancient term that is very little known. And again, I discussed this in the course. But this is usually when you're in your moon time or moonstrating, and you would collect it in a yoni cup, as they call it, or a moontime cup, and then you would either use your finger or a paintbrush, and you would paint with it. Now some people kind of go, ew, gross, but actually it is highly beneficial because there are stem cells and life-giving nutrients and minerals that are in this blood, and it's being known as the Holy Grail. It's the sacred chalice of life, actually. This is the very life that you and I and everyone on this earth has been born from. So even animals as well, mammals of all sorts, animals and whatnot, are born from this. And so it's life-sustaining energy. So it's very powerful when you do this in a healing ceremony. Yet even if you just use paints or pastels or chalk or any other type of modality in that art, some form of painting. Now you can utilize a paintbrush, but it's also beneficial in expression to utilize your fingers. Now, this is something that people as adults kind of go, oh, well, that's just messy. Well, what did we do as a child? What did we do before we had paintbrushes? Yeah? So have fun with it. I used to do this back in what I call my former life, when I was teaching wee ones in school. We would utilize our fingers. We would also utilize things like sponges or marbles or, other objects just to kind of roll around in. I'd make a wee makeshift box and put a piece of paper, and we just kind of roll it around in there, and something to have fun with. It's a way of expressing and getting out that creativity and channeling again that anger, that stress, that hurt, that pain, that depression, however, in a constructive way. So any other form of art, in that way is absolutely wonderful. In that there's things like decoupaging that you can do. You can do what I call crafternoons, where you're doing crafting projects. Things like having to do with albums, photo albums, and whatnot. All of that kind of crafty things. Back in the day, just as the internet was coming out, so we're talking 25 years ago now, or so, I actually owned my own bead making business, and I made chakra necklaces and all sorts of other jewelry with gemstones and crystals and things of that nature, and it was called fairy beads, and I did this with a friend of mine then. And it was absolutely wonderful and very therapeutic, and it was a very wonderful way for me creatively. And it's free from, mattering if you're a divine masculine or divine feminine. I know many men jewelry makers in the same field that, do that. Gardening is another one. Getting your hands in the dirt of the earth and connecting with Mother Gaia, Princess Gaia, and planting and tilling the soil with your hands and connecting that way. And then you're out in nature and you're out in the sun and you're connected that way. It's very powerful because we have negative ions in our feet and also in our hands and in our being, and we give that off to the earth, and the earth then exchanges those same ions with us, and it's very therapeutic and very healing. And this also goes into something that we know as grounding or earthing. You don't even necessarily need to be gardening, but gardening is wonderful because you can plant all sorts of seeds and grow an actual vegetable or fruit garden. You can also, plant flowers and medicinal herbs and things of that nature as well. But even just placing your feet in the ground or going in, putting your whole body in the sand or in the dirt of the earth, grounding yourself in that way is very therapeutic and very beneficial. And there again too, you can also draw or sketch with your finger or with a stone or with a piece of a stick or branch from a tree or whatnot in the earth as well, and that is also very therapeutic in terms of expression, so that you're free from feeling suppressed in that way. You can also create labyrinths and do labyrinth walking, and being able to connect with the earth in that way. And along with that, also creating crystal healing wands. Some of you may have seen my posts on Facebook. From time to time, I create crystal healing wands for specific purposes, either courses that I'm getting ready to teach, or for healing purposes, or sometimes I send them to somebody who I'm mentoring, somebody who requests something, and they're made from the branches from the earth, and then also I've done specific healing ceremony with them in embedding the crystals and whatnot into them. So these are forms of creations and creativity that you can channel this wisdom in this way. Now, along with this, I will also share that grounding and earthing are absolutely wonderful, and this has you connected to the earth, and it does provide a sense of releasing any energies and being able to express any energies as well. However, there's a difference between grounding from an earthly perspective and also grounding from a spiritual perspective and a soulful perspective. While grounding in the earth is wonderful and is part of who we are in being here on this earth, grounding itself is actually being grounded in your connection with Source. We are already and always connected with Source. And it is the varying degrees of which we are connected or less or more connected from an earthly perspective. In source energy, in soul energy, there is free from being any less or greater. There's different vibrational frequencies of being connected to source in different ways, in multidimensional ways. However, this said, from an earthly perspective, we call it being more connected or less connected. So this said, you can actually increase your ability of your being in connection by things, which is another form of expression, such as meditation and utilizing crystals. If you notice in any of my videos, I usually wear crystals on me all the time. This is a form of grounding as well. Crystals are a powerful way of grounding when you have them on your body. Whether they be in a necklace form or a bracelet or a ring or whatnot. And this was the inspiration more than anything for me doing the fairy beads business that I had many years ago that I spoke of. So one of the other powerful ways that you can do this as well is journaling. You can channel through what's coming through you. So if you're angry, you just, and be free from editing it. You just write, I'm really angry right now. I can't believe so-and-so said, whatever it is that you need to do, yeah? To be able to get your anger out, your frustration out, your depression, your sadness, your anxiety, your fear. Journal it all out. And then my suggestion would be, especially for those of you who are in family or other living situations or working situations where such writings could be found and could cause a lot of grief for you and for others, is to do a fire ceremony and to then burn that so that you're releasing it all to source. And this is a powerful way of also letting go and again moving from suppression into expression, so that you're expressing it and releasing it and letting it go, and then being free from any longer holding on to it in that regard. Now, some of the other ways that are a bit more physical would be massage. And this is why people like to go and get massage from other people. But if you can physically massage yourself, and for those of you Divine Feminine Goddesses, I will be addressing this in the Divine Feminine Goddess course as well, specific massages. However, doing an all-over body massage yourself, if you are unable to have somebody massage you, is very beneficial because it releases all of the stuck energy from this life and other lives multidimensionally that are stored in the body. And again, is a way to move from suppression of it being suppressed in the body to expressing it. Now, a word of slight caution when you do this, though, whether you're having a massage done and somebody's doing it for you or you're doing it yourself, it is important for the next 24 to 48 hours at least that you drink loads of water, and that is so you can process through the body all of the stuck energy that you will be bringing out from doing such. The same can be said from dancing in all forms, and right from doing specific dance like ballroom dancing or whatnot, where there's specific steps that you either do or you go to have instruction for, to just what I do and what I love to do, which is just a goddess flow dancing. And for you Divine Masculine, you could develop your own god dancing. My twin soul does this on the shore. He goes on the shore and he just flows and he just moves his arms and his legs and he just dances in whatever way he wants to. And flows with the energy. And so I do the same thing. You can also do this in a ceremony, fire ceremony, rain dance, sun dance, all types of shamanic type dances as well, dancing around the fire. Our monthly meditation that we used to do for the full moon and the new moon ceremonies back when I was living at home in Canada. We don't do it as much home here in Scotland, but when I was there in Canada, we would do this every month for the new moon and the full moon, and we would have our own sacred fire, shamanic fire, and I would dance around the fire. So this is wonderful ways, again, of going from suppression and into expression. So the other forms would be yoga, meditation, a walking meditation, or just a being meditation, and foraging, as we call it here, or wildcrafting as it is also known, where you're going and picking herbs from the wild, from the beauty of the lands, herbs and berries and all sorts that you can find out there, in your native lands, as well as very healing. Creating a shamanic medicine wheel. In some shamanic cultures it's also called a mesa, but the way it was taught to me in the Lakota tradition and other Native American traditions call it the native medicine wheel, or the shamanic medicine wheel. And it's what's known as a portable altar. And so you create it with your own cloth. The one I had, I lost my cloth over the years, but the one I had was actually made of the Merkaba sign, and I actually made the Merkaba itself on it with a specific yarn that was native, and then an energy circle around it, and then I collected my medicine personally that I would use on that altar, and then also medicine that I would use for doing healing ceremony for others and for the collective. So this can be in the form of crystals, it can be in the form of feathers, it can be in the form of different things having to do with your animal totems, or animal totems that are beneficial for healing. It can do with medicine cards, all sorts of things that you feel called to do in that, and come into that resonance. And when you're feeling, let's say, emoting that sense of stress or anxiety, you can have a sit with your medicine wheel or your mesa and do some healing work with it. The same can be said for doing a walking stick, Native American walking stick, where you choose, the way it was taught to me in the Lakota tradition is that you choose for each of the chakras, starting with the base chakra being, the root chakra being at the bottom of the stick, and going all the way up into the Ati, or all that is chakra, the soul chakra, if you will. And anything in between, and you put things that are on there that represent your walk in this life and your walk as a multidimensional being. I'm working with starseed medicine as well as shamanic medicine, also a medicine pouch that has your specific medicine, not necessarily herbs. It can be that type of medicine, but it's the healing medicine that you resonate with. And some of the things that are in my medicine pouch, I have specific crystals that I resonate with. I have a specific intention and prayer in there. I have a bit of lavender in there because it's my signature scent and a herb that I love. And things of that nature. So doing work with that, with your animal totems and things of that nature, and ceremonies and rituals is also another way to express. Doing crystalline grids as well, with different crystals that you resonate with for your personal healing, or for healing for another, or healing for the collective, is another form of moving from suppression into expression. Doing these ceremonies and rituals. Also in the shamanic tradition, you can do things like vision questing. And what vision questing is you tune into either your animal totem. Usually in this life we have 1 to 2 main animal totems. My 2 are the unicorn and the dolphin. And I would either tune into one of those 2, or a animal totem that is coming forth to you during that vision quest, and you would actually experience the vision quest as if you were that animal. So for instance, if let's say your animal totem is the eagle, you would then go into the depths of the eagle and be as if you were the eagle, and feel your arms as if they are wings, and your eyes are the eagle's eyes, and you would be soaring in this vision quest, and you would be listening deeply in meditation for what the eagle's medicine is to give you, the medicine or the wisdom from the eagle giving you in this vision questing meditation. So this is another form of expression. Also, in terms of drumming, you can do either drumming, which we know from, the band type drumming, those type of drums, drum kit, or shamanic drumming. You can either make your own drum and go to a drum making class, or sort it out yourself. It's relatively easy to do. You don't necessarily need to go to a drum making class, but if it's more beneficial for you in connection with people, absolutely you can do. And you can play that drum. Play just the drum of the heartbeat, the mother's heartbeat, your heartbeat. It takes you back into that sense of being in the womb, and being protected and being safe and being connected with Mother Gaia, with your mother or the mother of all, if your relationship with your mum is free from being a good one. And it connects you with that primalness of being an earthly being, as well as the star medicine, the heartbeat of the music of the spheres, sound healing again. You can also use shakers of different sorts. You can use gourds, all sorts of instruments, tambourines. You don't necessarily need to have musical experience or know how to play a drum to do that, or to play a gourd or a shaker. You just go with what intuitively feels right and feels good within you. Okay, so these are just some of the things that I have utilized in my path that have helped me. The last couple that I will share with you is lucid dreaming. Now this is a process in which you actually can guide yourself into. And what you do is, as you are drifting off to sleep, and I recommend this to help with healing and moving from suppression into expression. And I've taught this for many, many years as well, and utilized it in my own life. And what you do is as you're drifting off to sleep, you can set an intention that you're going to lucid dream. Now you can also utilize this for health and healing. Usually at the end of the day, as we're drifting off to sleep, we're thinking about, maybe all the bad things that happened during the day, or, feeling that sadness or anger or depression or whatever it is. And that's okay to be with those feelings, because one of the other ways that you move from suppression into expression is just being with what's occurring in the moment and being okay with it in the moment. I'm sad right now, without any story about it in the past, or as to why you're sad, or in the future, or what it is. Just, I'm sad right now, or I'm angry right now. And the more you just sit and be with it, the sooner it will dissipate. Yet what this is intentionally to do is, as you drift off to sleep, you want to set an intention of, I am happy, I am infinite health and well-being, I am infinite financial abundance. Financial abundance comes to me effortlessly and easily, and whatever that is, I am peaceful, I am calm, I am centered, I am safe, I am loved. Having those things in your mind as you're drifting off to sleep, because then you have all the time that you're sleeping to immerse yourself in those energies and those vibrational frequencies, and when you wake up you will feel much better. But what this also does is, in the lucid dreaming process, you can also set an intention for lucid dreaming, and then in your dream time, because in the shamanic tradition it is said that right now, as we are physically awake, that is our sleep time, our dream time. And actually, when we go and do what we call going to sleep, that is actually our more awake time, because we are actually able to pull from multi-dimensions and multi-dimensional travels of our soul. While the body is resting, the soul is traveling, and we can pull from that and then bring it into our waking experience. So it's very powerful work that you can do in that realm. And this is, again, another way that you can bring visions into being, and yet another way to move from suppressing your energy, suppressing your creative expression, into actually creative expression. People get ideas for inventions and all sorts in doing lucid dreaming as well. So this is just a comprehensive list of the things that I have utilized on my path, and just, some things to help you on the path to open you up. There may be other ideas and visions that you may have of things that can help you specifically move from suppression into expression. And I invite you to utilize and open yourself up to infinite possibilities, seeing the infinite possibilities that can be for your life, and that will help you to expand and grow so that you are free from being suppressed any further. Now, ultimately, and something that was a hard, bitter pill for me to swallow, was an understanding that although outer circumstances and situations be as they are, we are free from being able to control those outer circumstances, situations, or people. People will say and do things as they do. Situations and circumstances will be as they are, and we can be free from changing that necessarily. What we can do is change our response or ability to respond. That's what true responsibility or respondability is. In that realm, we can understand, free from a place of blame, just simply an understanding from a soul agreement level that we choose certain circumstances, situations, and people to bring about that sense of suppression in our life so that we can come into our expression. And it is free from being necessarily our fault or anybody else's fault, and it's free from being a sense of blame for anyone. We can actually be in appreciation for that gift, giving thanks for giving. So I give an example from my own life. For many years when I was married, I used to be in victim consciousness, and I would blame my husband then, my former husband now, and say that, it was because of his religious background, or that, we didn't get on because he was, Reformed Jewish and I, spiritual. And, I'd come up with all of these reasons and blame him and blame the marriage and blame the situation and circumstances. And, we had to move here and we had to do this and we had to move house and we had to do that. And I had this and I had that as reasons why I was suppressed. When ultimately I came to understand and realize that on the deepest soul level, I was choosing to be suppressed. Now that is free from excusing my former husband's behavior, because there were some things that clearly, as I said, many people will say and do as they do. Okay, so from an earthly perspective, it doesn't excuse his behavior. Some of the things he did was atrocious in attempting to suppress me. Okay, and I'm free from saying this about abusive situations as well. I'm not saying, oh yeah, you choose this. Okay, from an earthly perspective, no one ever chooses that. From a soul perspective, though, we do choose it in soul agreement so that we can come into its opposite of healing, wholeness, balance, and integration. And what that is expression. So any situation or any person or circumstance that is in our life that attempts to suppress us, we have on a soul level chosen with that person or that situation for it to occur so that we can experience the opposite of bringing it into wholeness and balance and integration. And so, again, it's free from blame. It's just a beautiful realization that ultimately we choose this. So we can choose better. We can choose different. So in the example with my former husband, instead of blaming him and being in victim consciousness of woe is me, I chose this, I took responsibility and said, I chose this, instead of blaming him and saying, well, it's your fault because of so-and-so or such and such that I couldn't do this and I can't fully be me and I can't fully express myself. I simply took responsibility and said, you know what? I'm going to choose different. It's what led me to leave one of the things that led me to leave my marriage, so that I could properly express myself and then place myself in vibrational frequency around people, places, circumstances, situations in which I could express the fullness of my soul, of who I am. Okay? So I invite you into this beautiful inner knowing to understand that you, beautiful soul, have the power. You may be free from having the power to change the circumstance or the person. Like in my situation, I could not change my former husband and his abusive ways and the way he harmed me and the way he suppressed me and everything else. However, I could change how I responded to it, and I could change enough to leave that situation and move into a situation where I chose differently and place the power within my hands of choosing to respond in a different way and to choose a different life path where I am able to fully express and be the soul of who I am in my divine brilliance as the divine feminine goddess I am. Now, for some of you who choose to stay in relationships and situations that, let's say you can't get out of that job, it's detrimental to your family's being able to live. Let's say you can't leave in a certain marriage or a situation because you have children, or because there's many other reasons. These tools, these ways of moving from suppression to expression that I have just shared with you, are ways that you can do such without harming the situation or the circumstance or the people involved if you are to stay in a situation. Certain things like family members, you may be living with a family member or living in a house situation where you can't move house because it's your only place to live, and the people that you're living with are not necessarily conducive to who you are in the full expression of your being. These tips and tools that I have given you here, of all the different ways in which you can bring out your expression in a more constructive and beautiful and soulful way, are the ways that can help you. Ultimately, though, you want to be able to choose differently and choose a different path for your life so that you are expressing the fullness of who you are, and you surround yourself with those who uplift you and inspire you, and you them, so that you and they can express the fullness of your soul and their soul to the magnificence that you are. So may this be a blessing of divine love given to you now, and may this help you on the path. And I love you dearly, and know that you are loved by all that is love, Source itself. And in so, you are loved by me, by Source, and by all that is. Espada, magnificent soul.